You step off the train, right into the heart of the city, and you've got this sudden, almost breathless sense of momentum. The skyline is just looming above you, jagged, vast, and literally vibrating with the promise of opportunity. But almost immediately, you feel it. The suffocating rhythm of this place starts closing in on you. The air is thick. It smells like exhaust and something metallic, almost like ozone from a recent, distant explosion. You came here to build a life, but you're about to discover what it actually means to exist at ground zero of a modern mythology. You don't have connections, no generational wealth, no armor. You're just you. And this is your new reality.
It's going to happen in your first month. You took a shortcut because you were just dead on your feet, and of course the bus was late again. And suddenly, you're backed against a damp brick wall in some dark alley. You don't look at the gun. You just stare straight down. Rain on broken concrete. That is literally the only thing you focus on during your first mugging. It's this brutal, quiet initiation. Because here's the truth. There is no vigilante dropping from the gargoyles to save you. There is only the sudden, terrifying realization of the true economic cost of just walking home.
But what's deeply unsettling, what really messes with your head, is how fast you adapt to it. The trauma doesn't linger the way you thought it would. It just kind of calcifies into a routine. Step 1, you hand over the wallet. Step 2, never ever look them in the eye. Step 3, you walk the rest of the way home in the freezing rain. You adapt with terrifying speed to the sheer criminal randomness of it all. You just accept the loss of your cash as this harsh, unofficial tax for simply existing in this city. You learn to carry a decoy wallet. You learn to walk without rhythm. You learn to shrink.
Soon enough, that exhaustion just bleeds right into the daylight. Normalization sets in. 6 a.m., the sirens wake you up, because they always do. By 7:15, you find out your bus has been permanently rerouted because, well, someone with a freeze ray shattered the overpass 3 nights ago. So by 8:30, you're walking through the freezing drizzle, navigating around miles of yellow police tape and heavy concrete barricades. These wildly unpredictable villain attacks, they stretch your daily commute into this grinding, multi-hour trek through entirely unfamiliar streets. By 9 a.m., you arrive at work late. Again. And your boss? They don't care about the rogues gallery. They only care about your timesheet.
And then comes the invisible drain. I'm talking about the things that definitely do not make the evening news. You open your mail after a particularly bad week over in the financial district. Someone flooded the banks with laughing gas, right? And you just freeze. You stare at the paper in total disbelief. 400%, a 400% spike. Your life insurance premiums have just skyrocketed out of nowhere. Your renter's insurance? Canceled entirely. It's an invisible financial drain that is slowly pulling you under. It's a quiet, administrative violence, and honestly, it hurts just as much as a crowbar to the ribs.
That's when the systemic corruption becomes glaringly obvious to you. You're reading the morning papers on the subway and you see the stark contrast. Massive corporations, the ones with their names glowing flawlessly on those giant skyscrapers downtown, they are quietly bailed out by the city council after every single major incident. Disaster relief, they call it. Meanwhile, you look down at your phone, staring at your completely empty bank account. Your own financial safety net has entirely evaporated. It's like the city is acting as a shield for the billionaires while using people like you as the buffer.
And slowly, the physical decay of your surroundings begins to perfectly mirror your growing internal exhaustion. You walk home past flickering streetlights that plunge entire blocks into total shadow. You pass abandoned storefronts with shattered windows that literally no one bothers to replace anymore. You climb 6 grueling flights of stairs because your apartment elevator has been broken for 4 months. The graffiti on the crumbling bricks seems to multiply overnight like some kind of virus. The city's infrastructure is rotting right outside your window, and you realize with this creeping, quiet dread, nobody is coming to fix it.
And then the sky lights up. A massive flash of chemical green, or maybe a pillar of unnatural fire out over the harbor. On television, a supervillain attack is always framed as this thrilling, cinematic action spectacle. Good versus evil, gods among men. But it's not a spectacle to you. For you, it's a devastating logistical nightmare. A down power grid plunges your entire sector into a terrifying blackout zone. The groceries you just bought rot in the fridge. The heating completely shuts off in the dead of winter. That battle in the sky might look magnificent, but down here, you are just freezing in the dark.
So what happens after a major breakout? Well, the fear just becomes entirely routine. Before you even make your morning coffee, step 1, check the casualty reports. Step 2, walk an extra 3 miles just to avoid the quarantine zones. Step 3, keep your head down. You navigate these fallout zones, quietly dodging the smoking, toxic aftermath of battles fought by gods and monsters. You breathe in the ash just to get to a minimum wage job that is absolutely going to dock your pay for being 10 minutes late.
You see, the cameras always pack up and leave when the smoke clears, but the true weight of this invisible suffering? You measure that in the agonizingly slow recovery of your neighborhood. Day 1, the sirens finally stop. By week 3, the federal relief trucks pack up and leave the borders of your district. And by month 6, the temporary scaffolding holding up the local bridge has already begun to rust. The vigilantes have moved on to the next major crisis, but you're left living in the rubble of their last victory.
So you try to escape. You desperately look for a way out of the rot. You check the listings for a tiny, one-bedroom apartment up in the Upper East Side, right near the heavily patrolled safe zones. And the price? $4,500 a month. There is just no way. It is this exorbitant gatekeeper actively pricing you out. Security is a luxury commodity in this city, and you just don't have the capital to buy it. You realize the housing market itself is what's trapping you deeper and deeper into the crumbling projects.
It's 2 a.m., you're sitting in this dingy, late-night convenience store, the fluorescent lights just buzzing overhead. On the tinny little radio behind the counter, a billionaire's voice echoes out smoothly over the airwaves. "We will rebuild Gotham." It's a press release promising reform, new foundations, a brighter tomorrow. You take a sip of your lukewarm coffee, knowing perfectly well that their money will never, ever reach your street. The charity galas? Those happen up in the clouds. Down here, the drains are still clogged with debris.
And the disconnect, it just becomes maddening. While the news anchors are on TV endlessly obsessing over the vigilantes' latest triumph, analyzing the tire tracks of some high-tech car or debating the ethics of mass justice, you look around at your community. You realize that ordinary people are being quietly, systematically crushed underneath the mythology. You are the unspoken collateral damage of a war that has absolutely nothing to do with you.
Then, the exodus begins. A deep, quiet paranoia sets in as the city literally hollows out around you. Your sister calls to tell you she's moving the family to Metropolis. She just can't take the anxiety anymore. The desk right next to you at work sits empty because a coworker simply stopped showing up. And the crazy part is, nobody even asks why. You walk down your hallway and realize the neighbor's apartment has been empty for weeks. The people around you are simply vanishing, and it leaves you entirely, suffocatingly isolated.
And that is when the psychological exhaustion hits its peak. You're making dinner one evening when a squad of heavily armed police cruisers absolutely tears down your street, sirens wailing, lights strobing violently through your thin curtains, and you realize something terrifying. You didn't even drop your knife. You completely stopped flinching. The constant hum of emergencies bleeding through your walls has induced this profound, heavy emotional numbness. You aren't really afraid anymore, you're just empty. You pass a stranger on the subway stairs. They look totally panicked. "Did you hear what happened downtown?" they ask you, completely breathless. And it's a question you literally no longer have the energy to answer. You just shake your head and keep walking. Because the violence has just become background noise. Another chemical plant explosion, another hostage situation at the courthouse. It all just blends together into this dull gray static that you have to tune out just to survive the afternoon. A total identity collapse takes hold. Your ambitions, your dreams of what you were going to do when you moved to this city, they've all burned away. Your entire existence shrinks down to nothing more than what I call the midnight shift. Step 1, ignore the shadows outside. Step 2, lock the deadbolt. Step 3, wait for the sun. You aren't living anymore, are you? You are just trying to outlast the night. You lie awake just staring at the water stains on your ceiling. You hear the distant, heavy thud of a grappling hook, the roar of a jet engine fading off into the night, and you finally understand the grim reality of it all. The Caped Crusader? Sure, he might stop the city from burning down to ash. He might catch the absolute maniacs and throw them back into the asylum. He saves the concept of Gotham,
But Gotham never really saves you. The system remains exactly as it was. The landlords still extort you. The buses still don't run. The insurance companies still drain you dry. You are just a forgotten statistic of collateral damage, trapped in a corrupt ecosystem that demands your labor, demands your taxes, demands your literal life, but offers absolute zero protection in return.
The morning finally comes. You open your banking app on your cracked phone screen. $42.50. You just stare at that final bank balance, deeply fundamentally understanding the bleak, irreversible consequence of it all. You see, you aren't staying in this city because you're brave. Actually, scratch that. You aren't staying because you're resilient, or because you believe in the soul of Gotham. You are staying because you simply cannot afford to leave.
You turn off the phone screen. You look at the heavy deadbolt on your door, at the rain beginning to streak against the grime-covered window. A siren winds up in the distance, just a low wail that rises above the sprawling, rusted skyline. The heroes are in their caves, the villains are in their cells, the billionaires are secure in their towers, and you are right here, at the absolute bottom. So when the water inevitably rises, when those shadows stretch just a little too far into your room, who saves you?